As we reported earlier, the G20 summit gets into full swing tomorrow with major world leaders gathering in London as they try to rescue the global economy. It's an uphill struggle. Well, with me now to discuss a little more of this is Irina Kobrinskaya from the Institute of World Economy and International Relations. Good to see you in the studio today. And also Peter Lavelle, our political commentator. Peter, we'll come to you in just a second, because I know you've got a lot to say. You've been geeing yourself up for weeks about this. There isn't going to be a simple answer to this, but what needs to be done as you see it?
Well, regulation, control, transparency, and trust. I think these are the things, and of course goodwill of all the participants. This is very difficult to reach, but at least if there is any advance, then we may say that tomorrow meeting will be a success.
Peter, France have said they'll walk away if there isn't tighter regulation. Now, what's America thinking about this? Are they going to get what they want?
I think that we're going to have to definitely find a compromise, because what we have now in this, we're looking at what's going on in the G20, the leaders, but let's look at the streets that was going on in London right now. There's a lot of protests going on. People really want some answers here.
These are the latest
pictures live here. I mean, the Americans believe that they can spend their way out of this. The Chinese think the world should spend their way out of it. But you know what? It's the Chinese got billions and billions, $2 trillion in savings right now in reserves. The United States can print as much money as it wants. So, the Europeans are saying, look, we don't have the same advantages. And this really gets to the crux of the problem with, Irina was mentioning, we need a lot more regulation, because the United States is out of control in a regulatory sense. We have been for over a decade. And this is why we've got to where we are right now. The United States, in a nutshell, has to give up a little economic sovereignty, maybe a lot of economic sovereignty, to make the new world order work.
Do you think that is going to happen? Is this just going to be a talking shop, or are we going to be any further forward after these next 2 days?
Well, further forward there will be, but I really doubt that, the United States tomorrow will refuse from their financial sovereignty or any sovereignty. There is one thing, this new economic world is to be more fair, and it should be more adequate to the political realities and the economic realities. The United States are the most important, the most strong, but they are not alone anymore. That means, there should be some discussion, and if not control, then some adaptation to the reality.
Well, that's exactly right. And let's take a look at some of the world institutions, the IMF, for example. Russia, China, other countries that are playing a bigger role, the BRICS countries in general, they want a bigger role in the IMF, and they deserve one now. The IMF is really catered to the West, and it has Western ideas. What we need now is more shareholders in the economic order. You're right, Irina, it's not going to happen overnight, but the writing is on the wall. The writing is on the wall for the dollar as well. The dollar is going to have to change as a reserve currency, not overnight, maybe not within a decade.
Russia even mooting, maybe, even to use the ruble. Is that going to get anywhere?
Well, I don't think that will get anywhere right now. To make it that kind of strong currency, this has too much inflation here. You can't have a reserve currency that has so much inflation. But part of a basket? Yes, absolutely. Yes. With the Chinese currency? Yes, absolutely.
Irina, this meeting has been built up as one that's going to come out with some golden panacea to sort out all the world's problems. It ain't going to be that simple, is it? And the ordinary person on the street losing their job now, wondering how they're going to pay their mortgage, they're looking to the world's leaders, and they're looking for some leadership and a way forward. Where do you think we are going to be in 2 days' time?
Well, I don't think the world really will change in the days, but if there is more understanding, if they look into each other's eyes, if there are some decisions to go further which are unsigned, that means, people in the streets of London or Moscow or New York or wherever, they will not feel better in 2 weeks, but maybe it will prevent the next crisis, because these are not the measures against this crisis, but maybe to prevent, because they repeat from time to time.
But I think one of the most important things is that G20 now is top of mind. People know what the G20 is now. I think a process has started, and I think it's a process that will continue. G8 is irrelevant, okay?
Yeah.
It didn't even see this problem coming along.
Right.
This huge crisis. The G20 is a new institution. There are more voices there. It's much more global. Actually, because there are more voices and more ideas, and it's more democratic. The West always talks about democracy, but it doesn't have global democracy, and this is something we're working towards. So that's why I have a little bit of optimism here.
That may be sort of a new economic Security Council, because Security Council is not democratic. It is not relevant. Neither is G8. So maybe this is G20 or G20 plus. But if this is a new format that will develop, that will make world really more fair.
But it has to give results if it's going to take on anything.
Irina Kobrinskaya, Peter Lavelle, thank you both ever so much for coming in. So we are out of time. A lot more we can talk about this subject, and indeed we will be chewing over the facts of what comes out from this meeting over the next couple of days here on RT, of course, as ever. Right, it's 22 minutes past 2 in the afternoon, Moscow time. Let's catch up with Natasha. She's got the business coming shortly.
Hello and welcome to Business Today. I'm Natasha Shanyetskaya. Russian and U.S. presidents are having their first face-to-face meeting in London. Meanwhile, caretakers of the global economy are arriving in the British capital for the summit, which begins later on Wednesday. It brings together the leaders of developed and emerging economies, which seek a greater global role. Even the weak growth of emerging markets looks positive compared with recession in many developed countries. Now the so-called BRICS want more say at global institutions like the International Monetary Fund.